dream I feel so rare, so real. All the world in union, the world as one. It's the world in union, the world will be.
1987, in their own backyard, New Zealand dominates the inaugural World Cup.
A great period in not just my career, but it was in All Black history as well.
The Welsh have their finest World Cup moments too.
It's probably one of my proudest moments in a Welsh jersey.
There's last-minute drama in the semis.
I think he's there!
And Michael Jones makes his mark. 4 years later, the Northern Hemisphere is host. As the profile of the World Cup rises, the stakes grow even higher.
Things really boiling up already. Such passion generated by this game, and my word, the referee having trouble in cooling these two sides down.
You know, we meant business.
Confidence. Confidence to play at our pace.
You have that moment, and you either take it or you don't.
I don't think the rest of the world took it seriously. I think New Zealand always took it seriously. I thought Australia took it seriously, but I don't think Britain took it seriously, because they were humming and hawing about it was going to work and all that sort of stuff, and I don't believe the Brits actually bought into it.
It was groundbreaking stuff, and it was a real eye-opener for a young, whatever I was, 24-year-old, going to New Zealand and experiencing Test match rugby in New Zealand, in a country where rugby is just in the blood of the people.
It was a huge tournament. In comparison to now, it's all relative, obviously, but in comparison to now, it was tiny. But to us, it felt, you know, when you're playing against the giants of the game, obviously South Africa weren't back in the World Cup at this point, but the likes of Australia and New Zealand certainly were, and it was a fabulous experience for us all.
The first World Cup saw the emergence of a special talent. Michael Jones marked his New Zealand debut with a try in the huge win over Italy, going on to become one of the game's great back row forwards.
I'd have to say the greatest flanker I've ever played with, and you know, there's not too many people around the world had the skill that he has. Even today, there's very few players around the world that have got the skill that he had. He's just a fantastic ball player.
It'll always be a very special, fond memory for me, obviously, not only because it was my first year as an All Black, and that's just about every young Kiwi boy's dream, to play for the All Blacks. So given that it was here in New Zealand, the inaugural World Cup, and thankfully I was in a team that was composed of players who were probably playing at the peak of their rugby, from the Wetton brothers through to David Kirk, to Joe Stanley, to Warwick Taylor, to Murray Pearce, Steve McDowell. I mean, the list goes on. So I was really given an armchair ride, and as a young 21-year-old coming in, I think those guys around me just made me look good and made my job a lot easier.
In the Italy game, John Kerwin's incredible solo try provided another lasting memory.
New Zealand have scored 48 points, and they might be looking for 50. John Kerwin.
Fantastic try, and you know, and the memories of all the All Blacks in New Zealand is that try will never be forgotten. You know, very much a solo try, almost from his own goal line, and you know, it was a fantastic try. And you know, all credit goes to John. And back in those days, you know, when he was on fire in those days, and he was a fantastic rugby player.
In Pool 4, Scotland and France were to produce one of the most enthralling encounters of the tournament.
A lot at stake, obviously, the opening match of our campaign in that World Cup, and we knew that if we won that match, then the likelihood would be that we'd go through to a quarter-final, possibly against Fiji or something like that. If we didn't win that match, then we expected New Zealand in the quarter-final, and the way New Zealand were at home in the opening you know, first ever World Cup, we thought, no, that was going to be a less appealing proposition.
Looking over the back again, Finlay corner. Clean burst by Finlay corner. Looking for support, White. And what a start for Scotland.
And then the French came back with a couple of tries. Serge Blanco took a very suspect try coming down the touchline when they were awarded a penalty and one of our players was down injured, and sort of took us completely by surprise. And, you know, that put us on the back foot.
Only 5 metres out. Laidlaw to Wiley. Calder carries it in again. Blindside Laidlaw. Here's a chance. Duncan. Yes, he's in.
And then Matt Duncan scored a phenomenal try in the closing stages of the game with blood streaming down from a head wound and bumped off a couple of French lads and scored in the corner. And it all rested on Gavin's kick, Gavin's conversion.
This kick for the match. No, across to the left, it's no goal. And that is it. It is all over.
From that point, I guess we kind of knew that our destiny was a quarter-final against the All Blacks, unless something very strange happened in the rest of the games, because the French had scored 3 tries to our 2. But it was just a fantastic opening match, and it really brought the tournament to light, I think.
Wales topped Pool 2 with a 100% record, beating Ireland, Tonga and then Canada, a match in which Ian Evans scored 4 tries.
Canada were a physical bunch, and the likes of Gareth Rees playing then as well. And I think they fancy their chances against us. A lot of talk in the press got into it. They fancied being far too much of a physical match for us, but we managed to get the ball, and we knew we had a decent set of backs, you know, with the likes of Robert Jones and Jonathan Davis. If we had a chance, you know, and Aidan Hadley as well, if we had the ball, we could score tries against most teams. And we managed to do so there, and it's great to score tries, you know, and when you're on the wing, you fancy yourself as a bit of a goal scorer, you know, an Alan Shearer type player. So you always fancied getting your name on the scoreboard, and managing to get 4 tries for your country is always something immensely proud of.
David Soul's fears of a quarter-final meeting with New Zealand were realised, the All Blacks winning easily. Wins 2 for Australia and France, and that left Wales against England. There was plenty of passion at the Ballymore Oval in Brisbane for the clash between these traditional rivals, with Wales taking it 16 points to 3.
Any game against England is important to us within Wales, and even back then, you know, in the World Cup, you know, and England were playing well. It looked good, looked in form, and again, we're seen as favourites going into this. But we always felt right, you know, when you get someone against a team you know so well, you always got a good chance, and provided we can get a bit of a platform, which is always our issue, then we could do okay against them. And Robert Jones, with that kick and chase downfield, managed to secure the win.
Jones, Davis, back it goes to Bowen. Bowen, wide to Collins. Collins straight ahead, Collins. Good work from the back rower. Kicked ahead by Jones. He'll win the ball. Jones will be there first. Well, yes, try to Wales. Scored by Jones.
As always, it was a fiery contest both physically and verbally.
I reckon the Aussies invented sledging. I think England-Wales games, it was going a long time before that. But that was a little bit going on the field. Obviously, well, we knew each other so well. You know, at that point, Anglo-Welsh club games were still ongoing at a regular level, so we knew each other well.
So, Wales into the semi-finals, where they were to exit to a rampant New Zealand. Meanwhile, Australia and France provided a classic contest in Sydney. We join it with the Wallabies leading by 9 points to 0.
France getting closer. COUPE went high. France have taken it. This could be a try. It is! Alain Laurier has scored his 3rd try in a test match. Australia had the ball at the front of the line-out. They lost it, and Laurier is over. French drive in and steal the ball. Number 4, Alain Laurier, the try scorer, slips it back. Berbizier sniping. Cody, the tackler. Australia looking stretched here. Laurier again. What an inspired game from the big second rower, just outside the 22. Australia holding on here. Seller. Philippe Seller. He's over. Sensational try. He's 19th in test matches. And the French camp is jubilant. Jones has it. Liner steps beautifully. He's got Far Jones in his pocket. Greg Campisi, he's there. That's the world record. Australia back in the lead. Chauvet, Blanco, elusive runner, Lagisquet, they won't catch him. Marvellous French try. And again, that man Blanco, in a seesawing struggle, has helped put France back in the lead. What a crucial line out here with Australia throwing in. Cutler's at number 4. Cody second from the back. Cutler has it. French have rucked in. Picked up, it's a try! The try has gone to Australia. David Cody. He picked up that ball. He couldn't believe it. There was no one in front of him.
Liner kicked the conversion and a penalty.
5 minutes to go.
So with time running out, the Aussies led by 3 points as Didier Camberabero stepped up.
He's got it. He took an eternity. 24 all. Blanco. Lagisquet on the first bounce. Blanco says to kick it downfield. Campisi's back there. This is dangerous with the ball bouncing around. Oh, what a horrible mix-up. France could score. Who's there? Pascal Ondar. Now they set it to Rodriguez. Chauvet. Tackled by Campisi. Berbizier. Look at this. Lagisquet, the fastest man on the field. Blanco's outside. Michael Liner couldn't pick it up. Rodriguez. Blanco for the corner. I think he's there. And that surely is the try that has put France into the World Cup final.
Rotorua in New Zealand was the setting for the third-place playoff. Australia against Wales.
There must have been about 20,000 people there, mostly New Zealanders, all supporting Wales, which was, again, was a bit surreal because they weren't going to support Australia. But it was fabulous. Wonderful playing surface there. This pitch has basically been laid purely for the World Cup. Staggering, big bank of supporters on the far side. Tremendous Welsh support as well.
The outcome of a thrilling match hinged on a last-minute piece of drama. Australia leading 21-16.
Here it is opening up, big lineup. Ring to Thorburn. Yes! Adrian Hadley it was.
Probably one of my proudest moments in a Welsh jersey was coming through victorious there, and Paul Thorburn kicking that last-minute conversion from Adrian Hadley's try secured a famous win for us and third place in the World Cup, and we haven't scaled those heights since, to be honest.
The first Rugby World Cup final. New Zealand determined to lift the trophy before an expectant crowd approaching 50,000 at Eden Park in Auckland. France had produced some magical moments during the tournament, but they were to be no match for a rampant All Blacks side who'd rattled up 269 points from their 5 matches along the way.
All the ball is coming New Zealand's way. Another drop kick from Fox. Lagisquet and Kerwin. Oh, there's 7 black shirts there. Jones. Try for Michael Jones. Kirk. Fox. Jones. begin the play, and through! Oh, it took a strong blow. Kerwin. Oh, I don't believe it! Kerwin has scored! And a great hometown victory, and a great moment for rugby in New Zealand. World Cup winners.
Icing on the cake to see him lift it aloft. He had blood streaming from one of his gashes in his eyes, and you know, just seeing the sea of people, Kiwis, for me being on Eden Park, which is my home ground, and you know, having family and friends, and just being in that environment, you know, that just sits there as a very vivid and special memory.
The exhilaration that we got from winning it, you know, all the boys, you know, hugging each other, it's a fantastic feeling, and knowing it was a World Cup made it really special, because in those days there we didn't have a Five Nations, we didn't have a Super 12, we had the Bledisloe Cup, and that was our only little thing that we had. It was usually a one-off game or a series of the best of three if we toured them or if they toured us. So that's all we really had. But when the World Cup turned up, wow, changed things. And to win the World Cup, the first World Cup, and win it at home was an amazing thing.
That New Zealand side of 87, and again in 88, Wales went on tour there, was the best side I've ever come across in my life. Staggering. We might as well have been given another ball to play with, because we just couldn't get the ball off them. You know, and the likes of John Kerwin in the back line as well. But the forwards of Buck Shelford, a staggering team.
We actually caught the world. You know, we caught the world in regards to our training patterns, and we lifted the standard up another 20–30%, and it took it a few more years for the rest of the world to catch up to us.
4 years later, it was another team setting the pace as England rugby came of age.
Dreamt of playing for England. Never thought I'd get there. And you see the likes of Winterbottom and Dooley and Richards, and they're great guys. And suddenly you're in the side of them and they're your heroes. They're the archetypal rugby players, quiet, hard men who've just gone on and did the job. And they changed the fortunes of English rugby, really.
The Northern Hemisphere hosted the World Cup for the first time in 1991. All Black legend Colin Meads handed back the trophy at Twickenham. Down in the dressing rooms, England's Will Carling was preparing his team for their opening pool game against the defending champions.
Confidence. Confidence to play at our pace. We're good enough to play at our pace. Let's not rush.
But on the day, no one could keep up with Jones.
The loop around. Did he get him? Yes, he did. That was beautifully done. And there's the first try. Michael Jones in support. A beautiful try for New Zealand.
On day one, the All Blacks had made their mark on the scoreboard. And Peter Winterbottom's back.
It was a fantastic time to be a Scottish rugby player when, you know, riding on the crest of a wave of a Grand Slam. And I think the Scottish public probably had some expectations of us performing reasonably well, given that we were playing all our pool matches at Murrayfield, and, you know, if things went well, then that would be great. We played our opening game against Japan, and we had something like 47,000 people there on a Saturday watching, you know, a Mickey Mouse game, which we kind of won very comfortably. And then on the Wednesday afternoon, we played Zimbabwe in front of 28,000. You know, lots of people skiving off work to come watch us play. And so it just gave everyone a huge lift. And from that point onwards, it was just a sellout at Murrayfield.
Not exactly Bondi, but the Aussies made themselves at home on the Welsh coast, but soon found themselves on some stickier wickets in the pool phase. First, Argentina gave them a scare at Shaneshly.
Nice play. Commodore, a second try for Tehran. What a lovely move by the Argentinian backs. And my word, they're back to 20 points to 15.
David Bishop telling the two front rows to make sure that they stay on their feet. Having a look on the far side of the scrum then as Far Jones delivers the ball to Liner. The dummy in on the burst is Campese.
David Campese's class saw the Wallabies through in the end, but a wet Wednesday in Pontypool made the hard-hitting Western Samoans a tougher proposition. For a while, it looked like captain Nick Farr-Jones's World Cup was over, but he'd recover from a twisted knee to play a major role in the later stages. The South Sea Islanders would be remembered for another game.
Pat Lam again, leading the charge from number 8. Gets out the pass beautifully to Bayanga. Martin Morris almost tackling him, but Bayanga going through. Jones and Lewis going back. Who gets the touch? The try is awarded.
Pear-shaped.
Tomalatai, Bayanga. Surely a try here for Vaifale. Going over at the corner. The second try then of this second half for Western Samoa. And Wales are in desperate trouble.
Not good. Lots of big hits. You're always going to get that with Samoa. They're very physical. They love that environment. They love putting the hits in. They like the hits as much as they like scoring tries. It didn't go according to plan. Against, it must be said, a very good Western Samoan side as they were then. As Max Boy said, not even the whole of Samoa.
After their initial defeat against New Zealand, England put themselves back in the picture with some stylish performances. Running rugby was back in vogue at HQ. New Zealand cruised past Canada, and Scotland finally ended the Western Samoa party. The other two quarter-finals would be closer and a lot tougher.
Montmartre is the top hat of Paris. The artistic and creative make this area their headquarters. England expect Will Carling and Jerry Guscott to be at their expansive best tomorrow.
There became quite a rivalry between us and the French, and Brian Moore took particular delight in trying to wind them up. In fact, I think he put more effort into winding them up than playing the game. Rob Andrew and I were talking about something. He came over and said, "Will," he said, "I've got a great line for this one. I've got a great line for press conference." And I sort of looked at him and said, "What's that?" He said, "I'm going to say the French are like playing 15 Eric Cantonade." And he thought this was brilliant. And you sort of looked at him and said, "Yeah, that'll be very good, Brian." But he loved it. And I mean, it did seem to work. The French, talking to some of them afterwards, they did get in a real state before playing us.
Well, one look at those French faces told you everything, didn't it?
I remember standing on the pitch with Peter Winterbottom before, and he said, you know, this is one of the great places to win. And it is, because if the French are on song, they can rip any side in the world to pieces. So you always had that fear of humiliation. There was the extra onus on, it's a quarter-final of World Cup, you get it wrong, your dream of playing in a World Cup is over. That's it, brutal. It's over.
Good solid heel, that's what they're looking for. Rob Andrew putting it high again. They're going to try and test out Blanco early on. He's dealt with that one really well, though. Penalty to France.
Good start, though, by England, John, and straight away it's Skinner and Shaw facing up to each other. There's no love lost between these two lads, I'll tell you. They've played against each other before. They both know each other's game. Good pressure, though, by England.
And Serge Blanco received a little bit of a raking there. Some studs, but he seems fine. Totally vulnerable. I don't think the England players guilty of any unduly rough play, but they're going to take advantage. Now, he's missed touch, and Heslop hoists it back into the 22. Blanco marks it. And Heslop hits him and is immediately floored. Now, there's always a difficult situation. At the end of a mark, the player not certain whether the mark's been given. He goes straight in, and the French captain guilty of retaliation there too. Good win for England. Carling wide there to Guscott. Lovely break by Guscott. And it's a try for England. In the corner, Rory Underwood.
At half-time, I was talking to the team. I could tell they weren't paying any attention as usual, so I sort of thought, I've got to say something that I think might be slightly interesting. And I said to them, guys, listen, whoever scores next will win this game. I said, if we score, it'll put us ahead of them, their heads will go down, very French. So if they score, confidence is going to be up, they'll tear us to pieces. Which I thought, you know, but seemed to pay a little bit of attention to, and 5 minutes later the French scored, and we're standing in the post, and they're all just looking at me, sort of, you know, going, what are you going to say next? You know, it was great.
Lacroix puts up the big ball to Webb. And it bounces loose. There's room out there on the left now. Galtier. And a try for France. In the corner, Jean-Baptiste Lafond. It had to come. The pressure had been too great.
But a now legendary tackle from Mick the Munch Skinner on French number 8 Marc Sessillon stirred up the pack. Not that Brian Moore needed any more fire in his belly. And a Jonathan Webb kick kept English noses in front, despite the desperate hands of Serge Blanca. Then came the clincher.
A little chip over the top from Richard Hill. Heslov is up there. It can't be marked because Lafond had to jump. They've driven him over. It looks like a try. It is a try. And Carling has got it. The captain comes up with the ball.
I mean, I think it's one of my favourite games still. I just think there was something very special about it. It was a very, very physical game, and I think almost brutal at times. And those are the best games to play in. And just the relief of having won, the chance to stay in the World Cup, carry on playing, it was great. It was a great night.
Having begun the day in a punchy mood, the great Serge Blanco signed off his international career with dignity. Others still had their war face on.
Well, nobody likes us and we don't care. I mean, you say what you like, we'll keep winning, and that's fine for us.
Australia captain Nick Farr-Jones was back for the quarter-final with Ireland in Dublin. Bandages would be at a premium before another thrilling and bloody encounter was over.
As the Irish skipper, Phil Matthews, waits then, and off we go. Neil Francis going in there for Ireland. The punch is thrown already. Willie Offahangawe and Neil Matthews, the Irish skipper. Things really boiling up already. Such passion generated by this game, and my word, the referee having trouble in cooling these two sides down.
You know, Willie just turned, and that was probably for us, I suppose, a bit of a turning point in the game so early on, off the first kick-off, that, you know, we meant business.
Liner then to Horan. Campese popping up in midfield. Tremendous run by Campese. Oh my word, what a superb try by David Campese. Little and an easy try for David Campese then, his second try of this game.
Right throughout the game, there was a feeling of we were always in control. We were always going to win the game. The confidence in the side was fine. It was just the last part of that second half, the last 20 minutes. Ireland seemed to get a couple of penalties which they kicked over, and all of a sudden they were only behind by 4 or 5 points, and then obviously Gordon Hamilton's try.
Saunders fields the scrum again then. Gets it away to Keys. Curtis in midfield. Up from fullback is Staples. Little kick in his space for Jack Clark. Clark gets the ball. Now he's got support. Charging through is Gordon Hamilton. Has he got the pace to get there, the big flanker? Yes! Runs down road, erupts then, as Ireland get that fantastic breakaway try by Gordon Hamilton. His first try for his country, playing today in his 9th international. And look at that score. The Irish are ahead by 1 point.
Realistically, I thought, oh, that's it. We'll be home. We're actually, tentatively booked on a flight back the next day, and my mum was coming over to watch, the World Cup, so I was obviously thinking more about what's mum going to watch. We won't be playing in the tournament anymore. But Michael Lynott got us together and just spoke briefly about what we had to do in the next 3 to 4 minutes.
Just about 3.5 minutes of normal time to go then. Ireland leading by 18 points to 15. Won by Eales. Liner to Horan. On the switch comes Campese. looking and getting support from his pack. Ireland forced to defend desperately as the Australians look to get this ball back again. Australia going forward, so they'll get the put in at the set scrum.
Now, of course, the immediate question is whether Australia goes to the field goal to draw and pay for the extra time or for the winning try. That'll be a character decision for Australia.
Yes, in fact, just to remind you, 10 minutes each way of extra time should the sides finish level. Opa Hengawi controls the ball at number 8, finally releases it. Horan, the pass, Little to Campese, going for his hat-trick. Tackle short, Liner's in there, Liner scores. So the great champion now then, Australia bounced back immediately with a try by Michael Liner. Great disappointment for the local crowd, but the Australians, the Wallabies, showing great character.
You know, for the ball just to sort of Campo to sort of just pop it up to Michael at the last minute. I don't think Campo, you know, he really wanted it to go that way. He was probably looking to score in the corner himself, but you know, Michael, as good number 10s were doing in those days, was supporting right on the outside and was lucky enough to be there at the spot at the right time.
Just over a week to go before the World Cup final, and the best players from both hemispheres are all involved. England faced the daunting prospect of a return to Murrayfield, scene of their Grand Slam sham a year before. And Australia took on New Zealand, who were feeling, well, cheeky.
The team that everyone's talking about has arrived!
The Kiwis were making their presence felt in Ireland, but David Campese wasn't bothered. The Wallaby wing did his own thing during the New Zealand haka at Lansdowne Road. The All Blacks would know about him soon enough.
Burns throws one by Eales, Far Jones, Liner steps inside, swallowed by the All Blacks. Far Jones, Campese, David Campese all the way! A great try from the leading try scorer in world rugby, David Campese, came across and simply skated through the All Black defence.
Campo in that first half was fantastic, and it was probably the best 40 minutes of rugby we'd played for a long, long time as a Wallaby team.
Far Jones digs it out. Liner, little chip ahead. Horan's going to chase that, so's Campese. Campese gets it in his hands. Campese, David Campese, dodging both ways and feeding Tim Horan. Horan to score. Tim Horan scores for Australia. A marvellous try, and it all came from that man, David Campese, yet again.
Well, the great part of his game was that if I just sort of followed him and supported him, he would always find you.
Campo turned the semi-final into a Sunday stroll for Australia, and how New Zealand missed Michael Jones, whose Christian beliefs prevented him from playing on the Sabbath.
I thought I was going to be here till 9 in the morning, and I would have, but I didn't, and now we get tickets.
I think before the English match, there were stories of hundreds and hundreds of people camping outside Murrayfield to, get a ticket for this big showdown in the semi-final, which was, everyone was billing as, another 1990 type game.
And they stuck us in this hotel in the middle of town, and they turned the heating up full, rather like now. And it was like living in a sauna for a week. And everywhere you went, it was like, I tell you, we're going to smash you. And so it was like, oh, right, yeah. And there was, we were incredibly worked up before that game.
And the noise is deafening.
Scotland and England exchanged hit for hit, kick for kick. It was 6 points apiece with less than 20 minutes to go.
Armstrong. And again, Chalmers moves it. Uh-oh. A dummy run in front of the ball by Scott Hastings, but he got away with it. Penalty to Scotland for killing the ball. And that's the sort of pressure that the Scots were looking to create. But they're upping the pace very effectively, and Gavin Hastings, well, there's nobody on the England side, I'm sure, believes that he'll miss this one.
He's too good and he's playing too well.
22 minutes gone, and England, having just got level, look as if they're going to go behind again. Hastings from under 20 metres. And he's missed it, would you believe it? He sliced the kick. And my dear, oh dear, that must be a dreadful moment for him.
I was standing under one post and Jerry Guscott was standing on the other, and we were sort of chatting, as you do, and I was sort of saying, look, Jerry, you know, we've got 10, 12 minutes left, 9-6, plenty of time to get down there, you know, get a base for a try or a penalty. We're actually talking through how we were going to do it. And he hit, you know, he took his kick and he didn't even bother looking at it because he thought it was going over. And then there was just this strange noise, you know, there wasn't the roar. And we both just sort of looked at each other. It was like, he's missed. It's like, okay. It was just incredible. We just thought, you know, he's never going to miss it, but he did, which was good of him.
Some games you sense that you're going to win, and some games you sense it's going to be very, very difficult to win. In 1990, I kind of sensed that we were going to win that at any particular point in the match. In 1991, in the semi-final of the World Cup, even when Gavin missed that kick in front of the post, I think if he'd kicked that, I just sensed that England had enough to actually cause us to sort of put pressure on us. And Rob Andrew played a phenomenal game.
Right, England have it again. What are they going to do this time? They buried it, they put it out. Andrew with the drop goal, it's there! And England go into the lead. And the Scots now, if they touch this down, it might well be the end. So they're not doing it. Everybody tired. Stanger coming out. Cuts inside. And still they've got it going. Where? Tukalo. And at last they get a tackle. But the Scots still have it. One last chance for them. And the missed ball. Winterbottom gets across to clean it up. And that's it. England are in the World Cup final. They go back to Twickenham next Saturday, but spare a thought for the Scots.
The relief for us to have won to get into World Cup, but not to have lost in Scotland again, was huge.
But again, because we were successful and we got to the semi-final, it gave rugby an incredible lift in Scotland, and we had so many people enthused and talking about the sport, and the personalities that we had inside were great characters anyway, and remain great characters anyway, but that really helped to consolidate them as personalities in the Scottish sporting scene, and it was a wonderful thing to be a part of.
But had Gavin Hastings' personality been dented by missing that kick?
In the next match, there's a wonderful bit in the third-fourth playoff at Cardiff when Gavin got the ball and went down the wing, and he had Richard Lowe, the big New Zealand prop, in front of him, and he just bounced him off, and Richard Lowe went like that. That's Gavin for you. One minute you miss a kick in front of the post, next minute you're knocking a 17-stone prop onto his backside. So,
People still talk about, did you change tactics in the 91 World Cup final because of what the press had said and what Campo had said? And when you just look at the game, we made enough chances to win the game. In fact, we made more than them. We just didn't take the chances.
In the week leading up to the final, Australia's David Campese called England boring and incapable of entertaining rugby.
Are we going to see a different side tactically in the final?
Yeah, there you are. People still talk about, did you change tactics in the 91 World Cup final because of what the press had said and what Campo had said? And so many people forget that actually we'd played the Australians that summer and been beaten 40 points to 15. They had absolutely hammered us. And we'd played the way we'd played in the Five Nations. So, during that week, it was a lot of discussions about, we've got to play slightly differently. We've got to try and outthink them.
Carling, everybody's ready. Just waiting a signal, and Derek Bevan sets the 1991 World Cup in motion.
England came out in the first 25 minutes of that final, and I remember saying to Jason Little in the centres, gee, they're running the ball from everywhere, how are we going to stop them?
Ackford gets a clean one. Looping round, Andrew Round. In comes Underwood. Makes a little bit of a dent. Now there's room on the right. Winterbottom to Andrew, to Carling, to Webb. And the England forwards are there in numbers. Hill to Andrew, moves it again. But what long pass to Guscott, inside to Rory Underwood. But Horan coming across to help Campese with the tackle.
I remember tackling Will Carling 2 or 3 times, Jeremy Guscott 2 or 3 times in that first 25 minutes, and when you tackle Jeremy Guscott, you know they're obviously getting the ball wide.
Setting it up in the midfield, England going forward. They need to control it though.
They put a chip over, I caught the ball, I think might have been Mickey Skinner, it was going to probably take my head about 20 metres further down the field, but lucky enough I sort of ducked under it and then had a bit of a run down the side of the field and lucky enough sort of kept the ball in play.
It's still dangerous though, with Webb going back and play there going right from deep in 122 to the other. Phil Cairns, the Australian hooker, with the ball, just sorting out the line-out signals. And Ofahengawi gathering it in two-handed. The Australians trying to roll it up the side. England in trouble here. It's a try. And up with the ball, it looks as if it's Ewan McKenzie, the prop. Steve Smith, what would Will Carling have been saying throughout this half-time interval?
Well, I think Will's job now is to keep encouraging the England boys to play the way they're playing, because they are creating space. If they carry on doing that, the tries will come. Unfortunately, 1 or 2 little errors, 1 or 2 little knock-ons, and it mustn't discourage them from playing the way they are playing.
I think the real difference was we won far more loose second, third, fourth phase balls than we thought we would. And actually, which then appeared, we sort of ran out of ideas of what to do with it.
Halliday back. Cool by John Webb. And Winterbottom given the chance to run it out. Guscott now in space. He's got Andrew outside him. And really the centre making a mistake there. He had people in space all around him and chose to try and go himself, then ran out of options and support.
All of a sudden, after half-time, they went back in their old pattern, which they were probably more comfortable in doing, into their comfort zone, I suppose. But in the second half, things slowed down a little bit, and we got a little bit more ball, and we were lucky enough to get some points.
Ackford driving in. Probin and Teague wriggling free, all rolling. Dooley can't hold on to it, but there's no knock forward. Skinner sees a chance. Holds on to it, lays it back well. Little chance here. Halliday getting in field beautifully. Teague on hand to carry it on. Now England have got some space. Guscott. A knock forward by Campese. And a penalty given against him for a deliberate knock-on. He went for it one-handed, and that's the yardstick the referees use.
He may have given the penalty away, John, but he certainly saved a try.
Yes, it's there. John Webb puts England back in the game. 71 minutes gone, 31 minutes into the second half, and England claw their way back into the game. 12-6, they still trail, a mountain to climb. But they know now, but a converted try, and they're level. Long pass, and Guscott comes outside. No room there for Halliday. And it's the Australians who get in quickly. Horan. Space now for them. I'm sure we're going to see this looping round. Liner, but he's in trouble now. Jeremy Guscott. Rob Andrew. But Rob Andrew couldn't find the support he was looking for. A great chance for England. Back to Andrew. He's looking for a way through. Hill. They've got to lay that back. And England somehow still have it. Guscott laying it back. And England perhaps lucky to get the scrum there. They made a real mess of that.
When you just look at the game, we made enough chances to win the game. In fact, we made more than them. We just didn't take the chances.
Now, John Webb, is he aware how close we are to the end? Chucks it infield, but Halliday isolated. Gets past one. Gets past two. England must win the ball, though. And that's it! The final whistle blows. Australia said from day one they weren't coming here to run second, and they've taken the trophy. But a really magnificent challenge from England. They gave it absolutely everything. Playing a game that was something not completely comfortable to them, trying to work the ball wide. They gave it everything. As always, nobody could fault their determination. One or two more passes, if they'd gone to hand, would have made an incredible difference.
You're in shock in the change room. You know, World Cup final is gone. You had the chance to win a World Cup. It's the days that follow it, the weeks that follow, even the years that follow it, that you think, you know, I wish. But, you know, that is sport. No one's going to give it to you. And you have that moment, and you either take it or you don't. And unfortunately, we didn't.
Jones, the Australian captain. The moment he has been working and waiting for. They weren't modest when they arrived. They set their stall out, saying that's what we've come for. And that's what they've got.
You know, to win at Twickenham is always special, but to have won that World Cup final there, and probably the only small disappointing part was that we didn't have a chance to take the cup around the field and show everyone, all the English supporters, what it was like. That's probably as close as they'd get to it.